I began filming thinking this video was about one thing, ink and wash, sketching with ink, filling in with watercolor, and then I started and it was really exciting, and then this happened. What's this, you ask? Well, you know the feeling. The art just sucks. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did this. It's terrible. My first thought, time to do laundry. At least I'll feel accomplished. Maybe some laundry with wine. But no, friends, get those pens back out. See, the number one thing that you should do when you create something that you really don't like is just start over. I know what you're thinking, but I'll waste more paper. I'm going to just screw up again. You have a decision to make, and this part in your art journey is pivotal. I don't say this to scare you, but I've heard too many stories of people getting frustrated, putting down their brush, and never picking it back up. So let's dive into learning about ink and wash. But stick around for a few minutes because I'm going to give you 3 reasons why starting over was my best decision. Here's a look at how I break down a sketch. Basic shapes, curved lines, and then I get into more detail as I go. Let's see how that applies in real life. Starting in here, I'm going around that basic circle and I'm interrupting it basically with my pencil. I'm using a mechanical pencil. These are little smileys that have a very, very personality-filled edge. And what do I mean by smileys? Think of a cartoon smile. I always go back to basic shapes even as parts of my sketch evolve. I love Faber-Castell Pitt pens. There's 2 types. This is the brush pen that has a firm bristle. And I love it because it gives you that bounce and that flexibility, but with more control. And this is the flexible brush nib. And this one is super responsive to pressure. And it definitely takes a learning curve. You're going to feel a little out of control as you use it, but it's so fun and it's what I'm using today. I am so glad I started this artwork over. And honestly, it was a mental leap for me. I was so bummed that the first one was so not what I was expecting. But friends, stick around because I'm going to tell you why. Okay, moving on. You'll notice I'm holding this pen in a weird way, almost perpendicular to the page. For me, that gives a lot more control. Here's a look at how I attack the idea of interrupting basic shapes with my brush pen marks. You can see the pencil lines clearly and then where I interrupted and expanded on them with the brush pen. I hadn't used these pens in a while, and honestly, I had to take some time to figure out or refigure out how to hold it in a way that was most comfortable to me. And honestly, that was one of the things that felt really wrong about the first piece of artwork that I attempted. That blooper, it needed a flip, and that flip, part of it at least, was a little more practice and exercising my hand a bit. You bet, friends. I was frustrated that I felt the need to start over. And honestly, I dreaded it. You have to remember there is a little devil on your shoulder in this journey. And she's telling you that you suck and you can't do this. And why did you even try in the first place? Don't listen. A screw up isn't failure, friends. It's freedom. Freedom to try something in a different way. And freedom to adjust your environment and your materials so that you are that much more comfortable this time around. Okay, back to the art. So with line and wash, friends, the line is so important. So think about your line quality. You've talked about this in other videos, but basically one line can have so many different personalities just with the way you change the pressure. That's it. So thick, thin, tentative, wiggly, wispy, really play into the flexibility of this kind of brush pen. And if you're not using a brush pen, you can always make lines thicker by going over them again and again. Okay, it's time to give this video a boop if you're feeling like you've had a moment, an aha moment, like a, oh my gosh, Christy, what did you just say to me? And head into comments and tell me all about it. Let's get this conversation started. And yeah, it's time for the wash part. It's the most fun part, friends. Now, these pens will certainly start to bleed a little bit if you place too much pressure, too much friction. So I keep the wash part of my line and wash pretty dry. So slightly wet on dry in terms of a specific technique. I am a fan of a limited color palette, especially when I'm feeling stressed, and I certainly was feeling stressed with this one, so go for it. You've waited long enough, friends. Here is why redoing this art starting over was so important. A fresh perspective, fresh eyes. You cannot buy that kind of gold. Your journey, you deserve to take the time that a do-over requires. And you're going to be more comfortable with the subject because you've done it now twice. And that all takes the pressure off, and you're going to just sink in to the loveliness of this do-over experience. Thanks for hanging out, friends. And if you feel like you need a little bit more of a creative pep talk, watch these next. Happy painting.